Hey, David, how are you?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tao. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Sounding Board and super excited to welcome David Blake to Sound Bytes. David, maybe you can just give a little background on yourself, and then I'd love to talk a little bit about our story of how we actually came to know each other.
Sure. Yeah, I've obsessed over the future of education and the future of work essentially my entire adult life, and really kind of just stumbled into it. Didn't think wasn't anticipating caring this much about any of this when I was, going through school. But I got to the end of my schooling and realized at the very end of all of it that I had managed to come all the way through all of my schooling, had become an excellent student, but had failed to become a good learner. And when I realized that, and I don't think I'm unique in this because we all came through the same system, or many of us. But when I realized this, I really, it didn't sit well with me. I wanted to be a good learner and I genuinely wasn't. And I committed that I would dedicate myself to becoming a great learner, even if it meant sacrificing becoming a good student. And where all that learning energy went was into education. Why was the education system built this way? And when did it get built? And who built it and what? And just, it sort of became this snowball. And it's now defined my entire adult life and career.
Yeah, and tell me a little bit about Degreed, which is, actually what ended up sort of connecting us and bringing us together.
Yeah. So co-founder and founding CEO of Degreed. I am now the executive chairman. But my journey leading up to Degreed, I was consulting for a university that was going through the accreditation process and just began to realize how much of our formal education system is really about the signal of what you can do, not even really about what you learned.
That's right.
And so really believe that as we're moving into this world of lifelong learning, less of this feast and famine formal learning and more of this lifelong learning, we need a way to answer for it. And right now, if you ask someone, tell me about your education, they still likely will tell you where they went to university or what degree they have. And it just reflects our inability to answer for informal learning. So Degreed is a platform where people can track all of their learning: articles, videos, books, informal, academic, professional training, all of it. And it's now grown to serve a majority of the world's biggest companies. It's serving millions of people globally. And it put me on the front lines of seeing lifelong learning in sort of our professional context, and how companies are beginning sort of what they're grappling with. What are the barriers that they have? What are they struggling with? What's hard? What have they solved for? And what led me to your doorstep ultimately was this belief and thesis. The technology is now scaling faster than human beings can learn. And so it's creating this ever bigger skills gap, which is putting this immense amount of pressure into the labor market. It's putting a big premium on sort of these frontier skills, on human skills. The war for talent for people with those frontier skills, those technologies, those human skills is immense. People without them are vulnerable. We're seeing that right now. We are living through that. But one of the big themes is, as technology continues to augment our work, a lot of the skills that have carried a premium historically aren't. Anything that's rote, anything that can be automated, anything that's sort of can be written down almost and task oriented can now be automated. And it's leaving us increasingly with, the most leveraged skill that we have are our most human skills.
That's right.
And, companies are struggling. How do we help develop these skills at scale? And the answer isn't to send people back for an associate's or a bachelor's or even a master's degree. That's not how you develop these skills at scale, but how do you? And it's hard. It's just really hard. And so really came to believe that on the most human of skills, that they're developed best sort of human to human and in a more personalized fashion.
No, I love that. And I think that was really story that you and I connected on, which led to you ultimately making an investment in Sounding Board, which is really exciting for me. I tell people that you had actually even contemplated starting a company in this space.
That is true. So came to this thesis that, for soft skills, for the human skills, that this, coaching at scale was going to be sort of on the front lines of the answer, of the innovation that we see. And so started to explore, is that something I wanted to do? And, it's a space that's exploding right now. I mean, it's growing, it's garnering a lot of interest. There actually are, a lot of entrants into the category. But as I explored, saw all of the companies sort of in time, really came to believe two things. One, that I didn't believe that I personally had enough of a unique advantage in this category. Combined with when I found you and Sounding Board, the one sort of unique thing I did have was this insight around skill development, coaching as a means of skill development, not what I saw everywhere else, which was coaching as a means of sort of wellness, is maybe the best word to use. You can maybe frame it other ways. But coaching has historically been about more about sort of the whole human, about sort of wellness, about helping keep you manage your psychology. That's a big part of the job. And that's the tool that coaching was engaged around. But there's this other job to be done, which is developing our soft skills, developing our human skills. And that's a different job. And so coaching's largely been growing around this theme, and it's finding scale through technology and other, meaningful breakthroughs in innovation. But when I found Sounding Board, it was Sounding Board and really Sounding Board alone that I saw shared this thesis of coaching as the mechanism of developing skills, those human, most human of soft skills.
Well, no, I think you really nailed it, because, I think coaching is really having a moment. And, you do say one thing that, which I think is right, which is coaching can be incredibly helpful for wellness and for your own sort of psychology and self-management. But what most people don't understand as you think about deploying coaching in a corporate context or in companies is that, there's a real challenge that companies are facing, which is that gap in the skill set. And that coaching can actually be applied towards that in a really powerful way that it actually hasn't been done in the past. And that technology is really a driver for that. And we've always held that point of view at Sounding Board. So for us, it was, of course, really exciting to connect with somebody else that also shared that point of view. So, well, I love that story because, as the founder, of course, I love to say that he didn't want to compete with us. He wanted to join us. And so, I just wanted to thank you again. It's been really exciting to be working with you and to not only, have you be a part of the company as an investor, but really having been a founder yourself. And for myself as a founder, it's been incredibly rewarding to be able to also engage with you around that, the challenge of taking something from zero, nothing to customers worldwide and building an entirely new platform and technology solution. And there's so many ups and downs in that entire journey, but having somebody that can support you around that has been really, really powerful and valuable for us. So super excited to be having you on board.
And I'm excited. It's awesome to find smart people working on meaningful problems in a meaningful way. So I'm happy to be part of the team.
Awesome. And for all of you listening out there, David's got a lot of projects that he's been tinkering with. He's, as you can see, somebody that certainly doesn't stay still. So we'll definitely look for more sound bites to come from David soon. Thanks again, David. Bye.